Hey folks, it's time to go bowling. And we are not talking about rolling a ball down the alley. We are talking about that ECAC Bowl football that JB has in his hand. 8 teams are going to be selected. Are you ready? Because we are here on In the Huddle. Welcome live here at noon Eastern time on Monday. We've heard some bowl selections already occurring in other bowls, but these are the ones that matter for the next 20 minutes or so here, the ECAC Bowls. There are 4 of them we are announcing, and JB, 8 teams are going to have some exciting news that their seasons will be continuing. What do you think here? You saw the list so far. Without giving anything away, what's your initial impression?
Well, an initial impression is that there's going to be some great matchups, just like we saw last season, and every year with the ECAC bowl games. I mean, I know some people sort of try to downplay it and this and that, but especially when you think about these seniors getting that one extra game, especially if it's on your home field to play for a trophy, bragging rights. It's great for recruiting for the program. It's great for the communities. So I'm thrilled for all the players and teams that get to be part of this. Unfortunately, you can't invite everybody. There has to be some kind of selection process here. But I think the ECAC committee has done a great job and has put forth 4 really great matchups that will add to this Saturday's football watching experience.
JB, first things first, we've got a little housekeeping to do and some info as the viewers build up here. We have over 300 viewers, which is actually false, because when you have a watch party going on in these schools, that's more than just 325. There are probably hundreds more not being accounted for in our numbers, so welcome to everybody joining us live right now. One person that's probably watching live is our friend Dan Coonan, who's the new president and CEO of the ECAC, and he has a little message for everybody here. And it is essentially how thrilled the ECAC is with the interest in its bowl games. The number of declared teams was way up over the last several years. And we also wanted to bring up the idea, there's been some questions that we've been receiving about Flow Sports being the provider of the broadcasts of these games this weekend. We're kind of stuck in a transition phase right now where that's not fully accurate information, but Flow Sports will be providing some of these. And as he says, the ECAC recently partnered with Flow Sports to be the new home for streaming of ECAC championships. The conference is presently transitioning its championship broadcast to Flow Sports, and many of its championship and bowl broadcasts will be found there. Check for announcements later in the week for specifics. More or less, that means that you need to tune in or to check your school's websites to see exactly how it's going to be handled, and the ECAC's website as well. Some exciting opportunities there for the ECAC, and we appreciate the trust from President and CEO Coonan to let us be the folks that bring up these bowl pairings. Now, for those of you that don't think that these bowls mean anything, we want to talk about what they do mean. And last year we've related to this or relayed this story multiple times of a little school called Grove City in Pennsylvania. And by accident last year, we made it the 4th announced pairing and didn't know that they were going to be ultimately going for their first postseason win in 124 years of history in their football program. But this is what the announcement looked like last year. One more to go, and here it comes. This is another game I'm actually really looking forward to, because I think this could actually test all the lights in the scoreboard. It's the 2018 James Lynaugh Bowl, and here it is. It is... Yeah! Let's bring in 2 guys with real smiles on their faces when they watch that here. We have from Grove City, sort of waiting again with bated breath right now, Coach Andrew Donato, if I can get it out of my mouth today, and Wesley School's running back from Grove City. Coach, we want to talk to you. You're always a man of great words and, uplifting thoughts. And, a lot of people wonder, do these games mean anything? Are they really that important? What did this game last year when you beat Morrisville State 56-48? And I was right, we tested the lights on the scoreboard, it seemed like there. But what did it mean? What did it mean to your school?
It meant so much, especially these seniors as freshmen. We went 0-10, and to think about where they began in their career and really turned a corner their sophomore year, and then Wes, he's one of these seniors. Their junior year, we go on a 6-game win streak to end the year, and then to be awarded the opportunity to go to a postseason game, and then for us win our first postseason game in school history. It just meant the world to us, and you can tell that in the reaction. So it's just special what the ECAC does, and for us to have the turnaround we've had and get to celebrate that with a bowl game was special, and really just made memories for our guys forever.
Well, Wesley, I think that was a pretty memorable game for you. I mean, did you have like 6 or something rushing touchdowns in that one? I mean, and you've kind of carried that into this season. I mean, offense is clicking. Just tell us about the 2019 and how you're feeling right now, right before the selection.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a memorable season. Of course, I mean, just to be with the senior class as we go through, our 4th year being together, being here with the coach. This year, I think we were just able to really put it all together the way that we've always wanted to. We've understood the vision for 4 years. We've understood kind of what our offense goes for, defense, special teams. And so this year, just the year that we had the joy of putting that together and just putting it out there.
Coach, it's a smallish school. What's the enrollment there at Grove City?
We're just under 2,500.
So yeah, definitely not a huge university type setting there. But I understand we have another watch party. That's why we've entitled it as such over here. I'm guessing the watch party's in the other room. Is that accurate?
There's only one problem with the bottom of the thing, Frank. These guys were not only the participants, but they were the Lynaugh Bowl champs. They're the defending Lynaugh Bowl
That's
champions.
That's a good point.
Right?
Very good point.
You mentioned the watch party, so we're going to take you to it. We're just in the room right behind, so there we go.
Oh, boy.
Here we go. Here it is. Here's everybody right here.
Hello, Grove City. Okay, everybody, you're going to have to sit tight because we've got 4 bowl announcements to make here coming up. Coach, thank you very much. Stand by, and we will see if you are picked, what the reaction is in a little bit. Guys, thank you very much. We'll talk to you in a little while.
Appreciate it.
Hopefully. Okay, we are going to turn off our audio from them at this point, but they are ready to go.
There's a big crowd in there.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Hello. I mean, it's bowling time here. And let's go here, JB. There are 4 bowls to announce, as we keep saying. And as I go through my notes over here,
keep dragging it out.
I certainly do. Well, we've got 460 viewers now, so apparently it was for good reason, right? But let's go to our first bowl. It's going to be the Asa S. Bushnell Bowl. Now, JB, there was a question, I think, whether you end with a win and you just call it quits at the end of the season or not. And one of these schools decided, you know what? No. Even though we had a very climactic win, we're going to keep going here. And the other team is somebody that's just a perennial powerhouse in their conference. Here we go. The Bushnell Bowl will be Washington and Jefferson University, 7-3, 6-3 in the pack, against Ithaca College, 8-2, 4-2 in the Liberty League. Now, obviously, Ithaca has just come off that big Cortica win. I'm sure the high is still there for them down from the MetLife victory that they had in front of over 45,000 fans. Washington and Jefferson, though, is quite the opponent, as the folks that we've just talked to probably could tell you. As W&J is 7-3 on the season, they actually beat Grove City 38-21. Keep that in mind. But, they had some ups and downs as well, as they had lost to Carnegie Mellon, Case Western Reserve, and Westminster, PA. But you always know that Washington and Jefferson comes to play, and they're coming to Ithaca to play this Saturday.
Yep, driving up to the shores of Cayuga Lake, we had some question over whether or not this game would be played at Cornell University Stadium like it was last year, but it sounds like Butterfield is good to go. Hopefully there's no snow. Worst case, you just get the plows out and you clean it up. But it should be a great environment. Butterfield Stadium, one of the most picturesque in all of college football, at least at the Division III level. Certainly one of the nicest stadiums in the Northeast. So should be a great setting for them and another opportunity for both teams to showcase their stuff on Saturday.
Ithaca, its 2 losses were against Union and RPI in weeks 9 and 10, but that big bounce-back win against Cortland, 32-20 at MetLife Stadium. It's not over yet, folks, in Ithaca, and we wish both teams the best of luck as we get to that game later on this weekend. Again, unless the schools desire to change it and agree to change it, it will be a noon Eastern time kickoff. However, check again on your schools and ECAC website to make sure that is accurate. 1 down, 3 to go. You still got plenty of time here if you're feeling like you're on the bubble for some reason in these selections. The next one coming up is the Scotty Whitelaw Bowl. And we got a team here that actually somebody, I'm not going to mention names, but for another site I work with, asked the question, is this really a participant in the ECAC? And we're like, yeah, it is. And then the other school made me proud on Saturday because, hey, my upset pick came true in Week 11, once and for all on D3Football.com. The Scotty Whitelaw Bowl will be Brevard College. 2019 record is 7-2, 5-2 in the USA South. And Carnegie Mellon University, 8-2, 7-2 in the pack. Brevard's season kind of went very quietly there, but they are excited about having a postseason berth here, JB. Again, 7-2, but they had 2 early season losses, week 4 and week 5, I think it was, or their 4th and 5th weeks, Methodist and Huntington, but then 1 out after that. And congratulations to them on a great season after a 4-6 2017. Don't have their 2018 in front of me, but this is a school that has been building up to this point. Congratulations to them. And Carnegie Mellon, you just know every year they're going to be showing up to do something to shake up the pack, and they did it again, beating Case Western Reserve and landing them on Union College's doorstep this coming Saturday. So,
and that's not the only playoff team that they beat this year, Frank, as they opened up Week 1 with a win over MIT, who ended up winning the NEWMAC in the tiebreaker situation last Saturday. So the Tartans clearly a standard bearer there in Pennsylvania. But I have to say, Frank, you gotta love the Tornadoes. I mean, what a great mascot nickname. I can't imagine if there's some guy in a stuffed thing, like, is it like just a big like a whirlwind or a tunnel or something? But
he's really
the Tornadoes
fast.
Are going to come. Yeah, going to come blowing up into Pennsylvania to take on the Tartans there in Pittsburgh. It should be a great matchup.
Now, interestingly enough, Grove City beat the Carnegie Mellon Tartans earlier in the season, 29-26. Bethany was the other loss for Carnegie Mellon, which was a little surprising to some folks. But they finished with 3 big wins, including the Case Western Reserve win, coming off a 6-4 season to bring that up to 8-2. Quite impressive. Congratulations to Brevard and to Carnegie Mellon. 2 down, 2 to go. JB, I'm getting excited here. How about you?
Yeah, no, this so far 2 great matchups. Let's see how we wrap this up.
We've lost our feed to Grove City, so hopefully we can get them back in the next minute or two. Hoping for that. So let's go to the Clayton Chapman Bowl and see what we get there. Clayton Chapman Bowl will be having 2 teams. One team that should be pretty familiar, actually, to Grove City. Not to keep bringing up that name, but you'll see why in a moment. Actually, both teams, I would say, are quite familiar to them. Another perennial team. Both these teams were in last year, actually, but may have questioned whether or not they'd be asked back. And here they are. Clayton Chapman Bowl will be Westminster College of Pennsylvania with a 7-3 record, 6-3 in the pack, at Morrisville State College. What a season Morrisville State has had. It's been up and down, but that big win against Brockport in Week 11 Really, a statement game there, a statement enough to get into this field at 6-4, 4-2 in the Empire 8. JB, both these schools very deserving, although there were points in the season I think neither of them were 100% sure as to what was going to happen here.
Yeah, I think it's been, an up and down year for both teams, but sometimes it's about if in Morrisville, I think, especially when you consider, I think they're the one of the few teams in the field that had a win over a top 25 ranked team at the very end of the season. Might have been just enough to push them over the top. It's interesting that they're hosting. I don't know if that's just something that Westminster seeded because they couldn't. But Morrisville certainly has a nice facility up there. Probably going to be a little cold, probably some snow, but it should be an exciting game. Morrisville runs a high-powered offense, and so once again, I think, like you said, with the Grove City matchup from last year. Test the lights on the scoreboard. I have a feeling that there's going to be some points put up in this one.
Yeah, Case Western Reserve, Grove City, and Carnegie Mellon were the three losses for Westminster, and that Grove City game was 43-41, in fact. So there were some lights being tested that day there. For Morrisville State, like we said, it's been one of those seasons. They lost 38-24 in a very close-fought Hobart game early in the season. St. Lawrence, 32-22 loss. Alfred, 28-21. They're all close losses. Cortland, 42-28. All intents and purposes, again, close numbers there. But, the Brockport win, followed that St. John Fisher game that we were watching on our Blitzer show, 49-13. But we didn't even get to it before it was like 40-something to not much.
42-6 at halftime. Yeah, that was Morrisville has really finished strong. They've I think when you look at the teams that have filed from the Empire 8, they won those games. I think they lost to Alfred by a touchdown earlier on in the season, but really their strong finish, I think, might have been would put them over the top here. And we'll see how they fare against the Titans from Westminster.
Indeed.
Yeah,
the Titans and the Mustangs.
There we go.
JB, one game left. This could be interesting. It could be quite embarrassing if our guests aren't on this slide. Interestingly enough, we pointed out earlier they were the Lynaugh Bowl champions last year. Grove City was, the Wolverines were. And let's see what happens here. Your fourth and final bowl from the ECAC is the James Lynaugh Bowl, including RPI and Grove City College hosting. Is Grove City College. That's live, folks. That's awesome. Guys, congratulations again on reaching there. We'll ask Coach DiDonato about this matchup in a couple of seconds here. Coach, hang tight with us for a second. We'll go back to the slide, though, so folks understand that RPI is at 6-4 this season, 3-3 in the Liberty League. Another questionable scenario there, whether or not they would get picked. But, RPI, with that big win against Ithaca, had a strong finish themselves, except until the Dutchman Shoes game sort of did them in Week 11. So that's where the high and low of the season can really hit you. Grove City had 2 losses in a row, but they were to Case Western Reserve, who's in the tournament, in Washington and Jefferson, a bowl team that we talked about earlier going up against Ithaca. Mm-hmm. So we have essentially a couple pack Liberty League matchups here, and this is one of them, JB. And you know what? I will say again, test those lights in the scoreboard one more time, because this could be a very potent offensive game.
Yeah, definitely. And, even though it's been an up and down year for the Engineers, I think this is their 5th or so postseason berth in a row now. Their second ECAC game over that time period. They've been to the playoffs and went to the national quarterfinals last season. So, as Grove City talks about, building their program, well, getting an opportunity to play one of the best teams in the East region in RPI, who's been going to the playoffs, winning lots of games every season is a great opportunity for them. The Engineers are going to bring a solid squad down to Pennsylvania. They can do it on offense. Their defense has always been a challenge for every team. Just ask Ithaca. So this is a great matchup between two very interesting teams, and I think, like you said, it could be a shootout here. But once again, a great overlap to see with Liberty League and the PAC. Should be a fun time.
Well, one thing we're going to tell Coach DiDonato and Wesley Schools right now is you're better off if I don't pick Grove City in this game, because Coach Isernia uses my picks as bulletin board material all the time. And so we'll see how that goes later on in the week. There's no picking to be done right now. The pick is that we have two strong schools in this game, as JB said. Coach, you had to have watched RPI in your career when you were a quarterback, and then now as a coach. What's your view of this matchup and hosting this game?
Yeah, it's exciting for us. I mean, I just watched them last year make a nice run, and I watch when teams go to the playoffs. I watch all those games online, and you're seeing them go into the NCAA playoffs. They get a storied program like that to play in a bowl game, and as you mentioned, we build brick by brick. We've built to be in the position to play postseason games against great football teams and great programs. So it's going to be a good measuring stick of where we are against elite program, not just in this area, but really in the country.
So, Coach, I mean, as far as the game planning, I imagine, even though there's added excitement of the postseason with the watch party we just had, is it basically just business as usual? As soon as we wrap up the call with you, it's hit the film room, get practice underway, just start the game planning as it would just any other week?
Yeah. We last year we actually spent most of Monday just as a staff, so we could really watch the opponent and know exactly what we wanted to do before we got with our team, and so just pushed everything back a day from that standpoint. So we would go through everything on Tuesday, and then really once we start practice on Tuesday through Friday, then we're back into the normal week.
Wesley, we want you to be able to go celebrate with your brothers in arms there in a second, but tell us what you think of this RPI matchup, and I guess we kind of gave the secret away of who to look for, to their defense. We had Grant Tragney on our show last week, so he's going to probably know who to look for because he watches this show. But you were elusive last year against the Morrisville State defense. Do you just play your game here? Do you see any changes? Don't give away the company secrets, as JV always says, but what do you think is going to happen in this game, and how do you feel about it?
Yeah, I mean, I've always heard of RPI. I remember in high school hearing about them. I'm excited for this game. We're going to keep doing what we've done all season. Like I talked about, within our vision of what we know we're good at, we're going to keep doing that. So I'm excited. It's an honor to play against a great team like RPI.
Brick by brick, guys. So you keep doing it, and maybe next year we'll be talking to the committee chair of the NCAA about your school, because we see a progression still going on here, Coach DiDonato. But first things first, you have a big game this weekend against RPI. Go get ready for it. Thanks so much for joining us, and good luck.
And thank you for all you do. As you saw when we showed the team, it means the world to a lot of all of these programs. We appreciate what you guys do to make this special for us.
Thank you guys very much. Appreciate you. And we're going to, at this point, go to just JB and me as we go to a bowl review at this point in time. So if you're just joining us, we're going to go through these one more time. And JB, as I do go to each slide and name the teams, yes, sir, we got enough ECAC on the screen today. In case you were wondering what we are, we're the ECAC show today. But when we go to each one, give me your thoughts. We're not picking games here, but your thoughts in brief on each game, what folks might be looking for essentially in these four bowl games. We'll go back to the Clayton Chapman Bowl, and that is again Westminster College at Morrisville State. Morrisville State lost to Grove City last year, looking for some revenge. I think Wesley played Westminster last year, if I remember correctly, and in the ECAC Bowls. And so here are two teams that would love a postseason win right now. What are you thinking?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think it's going to boil down to, Flatnow and Williams on the offensive side for Morrisville. And seeing how the Titans defense handles they like to run the ball at you, but they can also throw it over the top. So this game, I think, will live up to the shootout type of billing. Need to look up a little more on the Titans, but I know that they play a fun brand of football. Ultimately, I think it's going to boil down to, though, whether or not the Titans defense can match up well with what's been a pretty explosive Morrisville offense.
Then we have the Asa S. Bushnell Bowl, Washington and Jefferson University at Ithaca College. I'm looking forward to this one because I really think that defenses will actually play some role here. In bowl games, we historically have said throw out the defensive numbers because it seems like offenses just get really hot in these games. This is one that I think will be more restrained in scoring with two teams facing off here. That I think really want to end the season. Well, everybody wants to end with a win, Frank, but that really can taste the need for the win to end the season to start to turn for their 2020 starts ultimately. And that's one of the reasons why Ithaca wants to play in it. It's a signature game, gives their younger guys some more practice and whatnot. You heard Coach DiDonato talk about these games. What do you think about this one in particular, though?
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest challenge for the Bombers will be to, kind of refocus after what must have been one of the most fun bus rides home after the biggest D3 football game, at least crowd attendance-wise in history. It's, back to business because, this President's team is pretty solid. They won 3 of their last 4 games. They won their last 2 by a combined 92-24. So they can certainly put up the points. But I do feel like, it's going to come down to the defenses, like you said. And Ithaca is tough to beat at home. They really do, serve. Home serve is very strong there at Butterfield. So if the Presidents can get off to a good start and not dig themselves into an early hole, they have a chance in this one. But Ithaca is definitely a favorite at home, especially coming off such a big win in Corsica.
Then we have the Scotty Whitelaw Bowl, Brevard College versus Carnegie Mellon. I want to read off one thing here. This is the number of points given up by Brevard this year defensively. 6, 9, 10, 24, 21 in their 2 losses, 20 against North Carolina Wesleyan, and then 3, 9, and 3. So that defense, understated, I think, nationally right now, but that's how they get to 7-2 in their record. Carnegie Mellon seemed to put up more points during the season than all that, but their defense also at times was quite good. 7, 6, 13, 14, 29 in a loss, 3, 23 in a loss, 7, 14, 21. So 2 equally matched defenses, it feels like, in this game. But again, do we get to that bowl game seem to breed offense scenario, or do these 2 teams play a defensive battle? It'll be interesting to watch what happens here.
Yeah, I think so. And, with the, with our favorite law of syllogism, the fact that they were able to hold North Carolina Wesleyan to 20 points when they were actually able to score 21 against Stetson down here in Orlando, an FCS school that's played a couple of D3 teams this year, tells me that, Brevard is certainly up to the task. I mean, we know Carnegie Mellon is a playoff caliber team, period. I mean, they beat MIT, they beat Case, 2 teams that are in the tournament through the automatic qualifier. So the Tartans can certainly get the job done. And, it just should be another great matchup here. It's interesting to see, a participant from the USA South all the way down in North Carolina. But it's great to see sort of the spread of Division III coming further down my way, even though we typically talk about schools that are sort of just north of Maryland, right?
Exactly. Excuse my reach there for a second, but I want to grab one more thing here as we get ready to show our
here's one other thing that's kind of interesting, Frank, is that this is, if I'm reading this right, Brevard's only in their 3rd year of their program. Their coach Bill Kayat is a Duke graduate. Getting off to a postseason game only 3 years in, pretty impressive. It's almost similar to Grove City in the recency of the qualifying. Of course, Grove City had a 120 season lead or so on them, but fast start for the Tornadoes. But maybe that's why they're called the Tornadoes. But anyway, it should be a good one.
Probably there's a watch party involved somewhere there. We hope they send in their material on Twitter or something so we can see that as well, and we'll help promote that as well. So all the schools that may still be watching or friends of them that know that there's a watch party, please get us the video so that we can share it. These are great moments for all of us here. You saw the reaction from Grove City again this year, and speaking of which, here's that final game, the James Lynaugh Bowl, and it's RPI at Grove City College. Yeah, RPI went to the quarterfinals last year of the NCAAs. So some folks think, oh, well, what would they care about this game? But this game means a lot because, look, RPI teams want that seventh win every year in the season. And this would be huge if they could get to the seventh win. Grove City is looking to continue their brick-by-brick mentality, as you heard Coach DiDonato and Wesley School say joining us earlier. So, folks, the James Lynaugh Bowl, I think, is going to be another classic. You suggested maybe a scoreboard light challenge, or maybe I did earlier, but I think it will be a high offensive scoring game. Are you thinking that, or where are you going with this one?
Well, I think I think Coach and his staff are going to try to not make it one of those kind of games. I think Marinopolis can do a nice job of running a strong ball control offense. Doing the short passes, working around some of the different slot receiver types of options and plays that they have. And defensively, I'm sure Tragney and company are going to try to it's all about schools. If they're, if they can limit that running game, it's going to make things tougher for the Wolverines. But it's a tall order because he's really been running over everybody all season. I think he's up to like 9,000 career rushing yards or something crazy like that. But
he's incredible.
Hey, should be a great matchup of strong offense and defenses going head to head.
JB, we're proud to have brought this to everybody. Hopefully it went well on your end. We think it went well from the technical end on our side. Hopefully that's true. And again, thanks to the ECAC, Dylan and Dan and everybody in that home office for trusting us to do this again this year. It's good to see that you are not on somebody's front porch. So that was an upgrade this year. And, nonetheless, you'll be able to watch this back after it's done on Facebook, and we'll also link to it on Twitter for those that may have missed the front of it. Again, though, thank you for joining us on this ECAC Bowl announcement show. We got a lot more coverage throughout the week.
Don't let them go yet, Frank. Yeah, because we do have our Week 11 recap. We're going to keep talking about playoffs, other bowl announcements that are going around the East region at this point. By my count, Frank, we'll have about 17 games in the East going off on this Saturday. So it should be a great weekend. We will preview all of those, plus recap what happened in Week 11 and how it panned out sort of across the landscape here. And thanks again to Coach Jim Catanzaro for coming on and speaking with us about the NCAA tournament. And I'm sure we have some other guests and fun stuff coming up this week, so stay tuned.
Absolutely. And thanks again to Grove City, the whole crew over there, including Coach and Wesley, for getting that all together for us today. Again, folks, watch for us throughout the week. Watch for us, especially on Twitter, where we'll help guide you as to our content. Thanks again. Good luck to everybody as they go bowling or go to the playoffs. And if you didn't make it, hey, 2020 is really right around the corner when you think about it, and that season starts in the spring for all of you. So don't be too dejected, and seniors of those schools, be proud of what you did do this season, because obviously if you're watching this show, you know you did something great. Thanks for joining us.